So, me. Here we go.
Unique New York. Unique
Okay.
New York.
Stop.
Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
What is that? Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Factory Floor. I am joined today by, get this, two faces you've seen in every single episode. My name's Nick, and I'm joined by Corey Haynes and Zach Stevens. We're here to talk about what we want to talk about, honestly. That's how this works, typically. But no, today we're talking about pricing models, actually, specifically creative agency or creative firm pricing models. So there's a bunch that we have that we've kind of like listed out a few, like here's the most common, pricing models that people use, which we use one of them or a variation of one of them. And we had AI like expand on them and give us like, hey, what do people think are the pros and cons of these things? And we're going to kind of go through each of them real quick and hit on the benefits and the drawbacks for each of them and either agree, disagree, add to, take away from each of those, and kind of just cut through the I guess all the fluff that's associated with all these pricing models. So how does that sound to you guys? Are we down for this?
I'm so down.
Zach
down.
is so down. This is Zach's
Down with
baby.
the
He loves
down with the
pricing models. He's obsessed with pricing models. Okay, the first and potentially the most controversial, my take, is hourly pricing for a creative agency or creative firm. So let's talk benefits first and what the overlords of AI gave us as the benefits. First one we have is you only pay for actual work done. Is that even true?
No, I
I don't think
disagree
it's true.
I disagree with that fundamentally.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the benefits piece to hourly billing is that we can just debunk all of it because I don't think that there's any world where hourly billing is beneficial to anybody, both on the agency side and the client side. I just don't think there's any benefits to it.
You only pay for hours logged, which they could have done anything in the hours they've logged. So I totally disagree.
The best way I've heard it phrased is that people always say like you got to pay for their time. Like the time is the thing. Say, okay, so if I was organizing your sock drawer, would you pay me my effective hourly rate of $100 and something per hour? No. Why? It's the same time. I'm the same person. And it's because you're organizing my sock drawer. Exactly. The thing isn't valuable to you, but this other work is. So that's the thing that you are getting.
I like that.
Honestly, I think there's a bunch of drawbacks. And actually, I don't think it's as controversial anymore, hourly billing, because I think that we've just moved past hourly billing as a standard.
Everyone agrees. Yeah.
Everyone agrees. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the other ones are becoming more controversial, like value-based pricing, custom projects, productized retainer models, performance. Those are the ones that I think are more controversial.
Yeah. The other benefits they have are flexibility to adjust scope as needed. I guess that's true. But that's not something that the other models don't have necessarily. Some of them don't. But most of them, I think, have that flexibility, and then transparency in how the time is spent. Not always true. It kind of depends on how the agency or firm reports what's going on and the hours being spent doing it. So I don't know. I feel like they're a little disingenuous with the benefits, personally.
Definitely. I mean, I can think of plenty of times where I've had ideas out on walks, and then you run into the conundrum of, well, is the walk technically work? Or was it not? Or was me thinking about this in the shower? Was that technically work? Was the dream that I had where this illustration and creative concept came to me, was that work? Because if so, I'm just going to charge for 24 hours a day and say I work all the time.
Yeah, right. Right.
Totally.
I think that if you're a SaaS startup and you're evaluating creative or marketing agencies, and you come across one of those that charges on an hourly rate, they're like, oh, we'll just bill you a flat $100 an hour or whatever it is.
Run.
Immediate red flag.
Yeah.
Because what that communicates is, hey, we're going to charge you $100 an hour so that we can pay our staff $50 an hour and then take the difference for no reason whatsoever. And we don't care about the outcomes. We don't care about how long it takes. We don't even care what you ask us to do. All we want to do is fill the hours. And I've been there. I've hired agencies who charge hourly. And I say, okay, and then every time you have to ask for work that's maybe above the like minimum number of hours that you've agreed on per month, then I have to ask the question, well, how many hours is this going to take you guys? And then they're like, oh, well, it could take 4 or it could take 12. We'll see. That's not helpful. But like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And so it like you said, it goes back to the same question of like, well, what is the thing that I want done? Why don't you just charge me for that? Because I don't care how long it takes for you to do this thing. I just want the thing done. And it's always better for me as the buyer, as the person hiring the marketing or creative agency, to pay for less hours, because that means that I get it faster and I'm probably spending less money, and it's less hassle for me to like scope out and quote and ration for whatever I'm willing to pay for.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that hourly billing is just, there are no benefits, only drawbacks.
Yeah.
Next,
The nail
next,
is in the
please.
coffin. It's over. Okay, let's hit the next one, which is project based, or like productized, like custom pricing per item that we're working with. Is that kind of what we're looking for this one?
Not necessarily. I think that this just means fixed scope for fixed price.
Okay.
And the price can vary, because the little bit of like peeking behind the curtain, the best agencies that are the most lucrative are the ones that have divergent pricing for a convergent product or service that they do. For example, if I was just to sell brand identity services where I went through the same process regardless of the client, but then I was able to change the price of that service based on the client and the amount of risk they were taking on and the level of complexity of their product, that would be the most lucrative model for an agency. But this could also be something that is far more transparent, where you have a set of deliverables that you provide a price for on your website, and you buy it the same way you would buy a box of crackers, where you know exactly what you're getting, and this is the end result that you can expect.
Yeah. Like productized. Yeah. Fixed scope.
Yeah.
Fixed cost.
And I think that this has a really good balance of benefits and drawbacks, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I think the benefits associated with these for the agency, and for the buyer are like pretty good. Like the ones listed, that this thing listed is, the exact cost up front. I like that, but also it doesn't come into account with like sometimes projects change, or halfway through you realize you need this other page built or whatever, and that's going to change and cause a little bit of complication. And then specifically the last benefit listed, which is the agency is motivated to work efficiently. I pretty wholeheartedly agree with that. Like the agency is like, we know exactly how much we're getting. The longer it takes to do it, the less profit we have in this. So we need to get it done on a quick timeline. It benefits them. It benefits us. It just feels very positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a benefit on here that I think is interesting, which is easier to get budget approval. That's one that the AI listed, which I would push back on that. I think that it doesn't always make it the case, because like any other kind of product, like shoes, for example, you might have a budget for shoes. There's a lot of different variety when it comes to shoes, and it ends up becoming an emotional decision. And the same thing happens when you're buying creative services, because it might be easier to get you might have a set budget for it. As far as whether that is going to suffice your needs is a different story, because
Hmm.
even within the example that I gave of brand identity design, there are people who charge in the tens of thousands of dollars for that. And then there are people that charge $3,000. And
Hmm.
gauging which one is going to be a good fit for you becomes really hard. Uh, so I guess that's a good segue into some of the drawbacks, which is that gauging fit is really hard with these initial scoped out projects, especially if you've never worked together. Because I think that scoping in general is a very arduous task because the agency wants to make sure that they are not they're not biting off more than they can chew. But the client wants to make sure that they're actually going to get the thing that they want. And there's always a gap in understanding there that gradually closes as you work more and more together. But that leads to things like change orders or alterations in scope, and then you essentially get sucked into a similar cycle of we thought we were going to pay this much, but when we actually discovered what the real problem was, we added on 2x what we were planning to spend initially because it was so complex.
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say, I love project based. I think it's great. It's especially easy to get budget approval for because it's like, here's what we're getting, here's what it costs. And that's an easy decision to pass on to someone else to make. But definitely one of the big drawbacks, one of the big downsides is it kind of commoditizes the work in a way where you're like, okay, well, can we find someone else to get this to do the same thing for like a little bit less? Because if it's the same thing, then why not? Um, and it's definitely pretty rigid. Uh, dang it. Well, oh, I was gonna say it's also the problem of like, don't ask a barber if you need a haircut. Like he's always gonna say yes, right? And so if you go to someone and you're like, hey, we're thinking about doing this, and you only offer this,
That.
of course
Yes,
you're
you
gonna
should
say
do it.
yes, right? But maybe you actually could have made more money and done more productive, value driven work if you said, I know you want this, but I think actually what you need is that. And then you can have a different conversation with maybe different deliverables.
The the ease of budget approval benefit feels a bit gray to me because there's different types of creative firms that work in different styles. Like us, for example, we are much more close to like in-house team where you bring us on and we work very closely on a long-term basis with someone. And like our pricing versus like if we did project base, like it, some people might find it easier to get approval for our pricing because it's like, oh, it's like instead of hiring, these people individually and bringing them on internally, I'm hiring this agency that does it all almost in house, like arm in arm with the team, and we're getting it instead of spending this much on this person, this much on this person, and this much on this person. We're spending one price on all of them and getting access to all of them, which feels easier to me to go get approval. But that's just for those teams that are looking for that type of agency versus like an agency
Right.
that's like one time deal, one project, 3 months, we're done. Um, so I think it's a little bit of a gray area with the budget approval question.
Definitely differs if there's an ongoing relationship or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
The last thing I wanted to touch on with project based is the commitment, because say you do get this really large project. Maybe it's like a 150-page website overhaul, new design, new copy, new everything, and it's going to be $200,000 to get the thing done. What's going to happen is you will pay a substantial deposit on that to start the work so that the agency gets moving forward. But then you might figure out this is not a good fit, and we are, let's see, what's 200,000? We'll make it to $210,000 just for the sake of simplicity with math. We paid 33% upfront for this, so we're 70 grand in the hole to get this project started, and we really don't want to continue down this path with this agency. If we part ways, we are out 1/3 of our budget that was allocated for this project, and we have nothing. So I think that there is a major drawback as far as commitment to an agency, particularly if you have not worked together, which is, I think, the scary
Hmm.
part. There is really no way to date very easily around a big project with a custom based price for this, or even a productized price that's still very expensive. You just don't know how good of a fit it's going to be until you've already made a significant investment.
Yep. I feel like this fixed price, fixed, project bucket is probably makes up a majority of the larger creative agencies out there. So there's something to be said for that too. But let's move on to the next one, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, I was just
Um,
gonna say a lot of people move from hourly to project based, so
yep.
it's like most are gonna fit in one of those two buckets. But it feels like what's more
Oh,
popular or
sorry,
kind of
sorry.
smarter objectively is people agree project based over hourly usually.
Yeah. Zach has an
Sorry,
intruder,
I had a little munchkin at my door.
crawling intruder.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's talk about one of our favorites, the retainer model. Okay, so I mean, we're a retainer model, but it feels uh, a little bit different, just because of our month to month, our month to month nature. But we're essentially a retainer model or subscription type model. Obviously, we feel that there's a lot of benefits with this. The ones that are listed here are predictable monthly costs, right? So you have, you know, it's X amount per month to retain these people. That's they're working for you. That's it. Um, Dedicated agency attention. So that's obviously super important. And then priority service. What do you guys think? Are these benefits the main benefits that you would list for this, or do you disagree with any of them?
I think that first what I would do is I would draw a very clear distinction here between an hourly based retainer and a retainer that is more along the lines of an all you can eat, but so much as your plate can hold. Uh,
Mm.
the hourly based retainers have the same issues as hourly billing. The only difference is you've covered a. You're usually you're so, at that point you're so big that your people are buying chunks of your time. Uh, but
It's
then you
basically the
run into
same thing.
it's basically the same thing, just in larger quantities. The thing that I think is different about the all you can eat model, which is really nice, is the lack of scope, meaning that things are very flexible. And if you have an agency that's able to handle, obviously I'm very biased on this, and I've given a lot of thought to why we could even make a case for a model like ours. Is that if you have an agency that can handle the strategic foundational work and then need them to execute on everything that is layered on top of that, it's never a question of scope and more a matter of just getting through it. The same way that you would with an internal team. You're not going to overload an internal team with more work than they can handle. And the agency's kind of already taken that off your plate as far as putting a limit or a cap, like we have with the one task, two tasks, three tasks, based on how much we are being compensated for that. Uh, but the lack of scope is really powerful because there's nothing that's off limits. Like,
Yeah.
what do you need? Great, we'll get on that. Do you want that to happen right now, or do you want that to happen after the thing we're currently working on? Oh, you want to change and make some revisions? Great. We don't have a cap on 3 revisions of this logo. We'll iterate on it until you feel that it's up to par. All the while providing expertise and access to, whatever. Like we had a client today who asked me for opinions on a domain that they were going to purchase because the one they thought they were going to buy was now taken. And I didn't have to start a ticker or a timer to track my time. And since they are a client that is on a recurring basis, obviously I want to do right by them and give them as much value as they can get that I feel is feasible. So a question like that isn't something that I'm going to put on the back burner because it feels like it's out of scope, or charging them an hourly fee just because I had to answer a question for them.
Hmm.
So the drawbacks to this, at least the ones that I've thought of, are it is a little bit harder to gauge predictability around turnaround times. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we get like our goal is always 2 to 3 days of having a substantial work update. And there is a drawback to that because you don't always know how much things will cost, particularly when you get into the realm of revisions and how big we want the revisions to go. But even in spite of that, the way that we've always phrased it is you're paying until you feel like you are no longer getting value. And that's the beauty of it, which is it's not based on anything other than the most important thing, which is, do you feel like you're getting more than your money is? Are you getting more value than the money that you are putting in? And at the minute you are not, you can leave.
Yeah. Obviously, like we all like the general subscription retainer model that we have set up. I do think what you said about in terms of drawbacks, the turn times and like laying expectations, excuse me, for how the work, it's all any issue or the primary questions that people have seem to almost always be based around like work rate. Like if someone comes to us and they're like, I want a new website. Great. How many pages? Do you need a new brand? Are you positioned? There's a bazillion questions we can ask and try to figure out, okay, exactly how many like tasks is this? But really they're just like, I need a new website. Like, how long does that take? Like they go from A to Z and we have to be like, okay, but like I just need to show you really quick that there's B, C, D, and like show them the steps all the way until Z is delivered. And that for some people, they're like, right, this makes sense. And for every now and again, you get someone who's like, I just make me a website. Like, I don't, what? Like, just do it. How long does it take? And they're just like
Just tell me the
very,
price.
yeah, exactly. And those types of people can't really handle sometimes our model, or at least they can't until they start. And then they're like, oh, I see how this is. This is like, you're going to do it as fast as possible and as fast as we can with the best possible work. And you're just going to show it to me as you do it, as if you're like one of my employees working hard. Which I think is like the beauty of how we do our first month guarantee. I think that guarantee helps us a lot because that really gives the client who's not totally sure, but is like, let me just see what this is about, an out. And it's almost, have we ever had someone do it? I don't think so. Yeah. So I don't know. That's I think the biggest issues that we've always run into are people being confused about timelines and deliverable expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say one of the other big benefits, I think that can't be understated enough or overstated enough, is not only is there no scopes, but because there's no scopes, there's no scoping, there's also no quotes and no quoting, which means that you don't constantly have to get reapproval for budgets. So yeah, it's harder to get budget approved for a retainer initially over like hourly or project based because it's a higher upfront commitment. And there's more unknowns about the timelines and maybe the total cost of something that you have in mind because everything kind of gets blended and melded together. But then you have so much freedom within that retainer that you don't have to ever do that budget approval ever again. And everything is capped at a monthly rate. And that was one of the big things when I was in-house marketing was the CFO was always like, hey, can we just try to keep things under this number every month for these types of services and softwares and whatever? And for like a lot of other things, it would be very easy. Like, okay, just don't spend more than $5,000 a month on Google Ads. Okay, don't spend any more than 100 hours on contractors. Don't spend any more than $1,000 a month on software services. But then like, I have a new website to build. Okay, that's going to be 50 grand. Do I pay that in 5 monthly installments? Do I pay that half upfront, half 6 months later? And then like the cash flow gets kind of crazy to budget for. But if you can get, $10,000 a month approved once forever, now the CFO is happy because he's like, okay, at least we know what to expect. It's not going to be higher. It's not going to be lower. It's exactly what it says it's going to be every single month.
Yeah, it's no different than hiring an employee. And the nice
Yeah.
thing is that this is an employee that does not have health benefits or payroll taxes or any of the other things that come along with hiring an employee, and you can fire them whenever you want.
Or vacations.
Or
Yeah.
vacations. That's right.
Yeah, they never get sick, really, either.
Yeah.
No, and when we go on
Somebody
paternity
shows up and
leave,
does the work. Yeah, let's
and when
go.
we go on
The
paternity
perfect
leave, we
employee.
cut. Yeah, and when we went on paternity leave, when it was just the three of us, everybody got a fat discount. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit the next one, which is one that you already mentioned, Zach, the hourly retainer
actually, I
slash all
think,
you can eat. Maybe just draw the line a little harder.
well, I think it's the same thing. This is an error on my part, including it in here, but uh, just to put a pin in it, the main thing to draw a distinction with is that I think a true retainer is more based on access to transformational value on a recurring basis. That's it. Not an X amount of hours guaranteed per month, because who cares? It's about ability to get in front of people and have them take things off your plate again and again and again and again and again, and to keep doing that until you have no more work to do. And that's it.
Great job. That's a great
Thank
pitch.
you.
Love it.
Good summary.
Okay, let's hit the last one then, which is performance based.
Yeah, this
Do
is,
any of you have know anybody that does this at a creative agency on a regular?
I've pitched it a couple times. Uh, but the thing that I always get tripped up with performance based stuff is I'm for it. I think that it's really a interesting way to go about it, especially when you have like a combo of, say we were going to do a pitch deck for somebody, and that pitch deck was designed to go raise, their goal is a series A of $7 million. You say, great. Well, we have two options. We can design the pitch deck. You'll get X amount of revisions for $20,000, or we'll cut that fee in half to 10, and we will work with you on it on a continual basis until you raise your $7 million. And when you do raise your $7 million, we get X percentage of, your raise. Just to put it in, giving a scenario that I think is easy to understand. The thing that I've always seen that's really difficult about that is that agencies that are competent enough to offer that kind of performance pay structure are not going to let you get all the value.
They're going to get their cut.
We are going to take our cut. Not we, they. We didn't operate on a performance basis yet. We'll see. We're never going to.
Yeah, I think it's it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's an awesome offer, right? It's so attractive. It's like, hey, if this doesn't work for you, you don't pay anything. They're like, okay, great, go for it. Let's see what you can do. The problem is that if there's a low hit rate, and or if the performance that you're being paid on doesn't come until way later down the line, which MRR comes later down the line, closed deals can come way later down the line, things like SEO, even traffic can come way later down the line, right? The realization of brand value, if you're doing something like a logo or creative direction or whatever it is, can be realized way, way, way later down the line. And so you might not get paid at all even if you do, you might not get paid until way later. But even if you do get paid and things do get well, it'll almost always be at a premium of what someone would pay for on any of the other models, hourly, project-based, or retainer. And so as soon as it starts working and you start getting paid on your performance basis, they're going to be like, why are we paying you so much when now we can do this exact same thing for cheaper with someone else on a completely different model? And so now you're going to be cut because why overpay when you don't have to, right? So you assume all the risk without really reaping any of the benefits of the long-term value.
Well, I agree. I think that's more of an issue on the agency side, though, not necessarily
Yeah.
from the client's perspective. I think
No,
that
exactly. That's what I mean. The client has all the power. It's always kind of a, that's what I mean. Dan, if you do, Dan, if you don't, if you're an agency, unless we're also dealing with payment structures like royalties or equity,
Equity.
because now it's like a legal guarantee. But if we're just talking about, for example, like, oh, we're a Facebook marketing agency and you pay $0 per month for our services, but we take, 5% of all of your sales that we generate.
Commission. Yeah.
Yeah, like a commission. As soon as that starts to look pretty expensive, we're paying this agency $50,000 a month for something we can pay another Facebook agency $10,000 a month to do the exact same thing.
They will do that.
They will do it every single time.
Yeah.
Unless, again, it's within the form of equity or royalty where it's a legal obligation.
I think it's like you have the equity version, which is kind of like this is your lottery ticket type pricing, where it's like, look, I'm trying to buy a bunch of lottery tickets, and one of them will hit, and I'll be decently okay. And then the performance based is I think in theory it works on like shorter sprints, if that makes sense. Like I like Alex Ramosi comes to mind with like the gym launch stuff that he did, where he was like, I'll come in and for 3 weeks I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna collect all this money and keep it, but you keep all the memberships, but I'm only gonna be there for a week. And they're just like, okay. And then after the week, it's over. And there's no more like performance thing because there's this other recurring money that's coming in. In that scenario, it's like perfect, actually perfect, ideal because they don't spend any money upfront. But something like this where it's like, oh, we could be working together for like years. It's not going to work. It's not going to work long term.
Yeah. I like Zach's original example of like raising money, for example. If you're like a startup pitch deck consultant and the goal for a startup is to raise money, and it's fairly easy for you to do, and you're happy. Well, yeah, I mean, statistically, like 99 out of 100, like don't raise money. So if you're happy just making money off of the 1 out of 100 that do, and you can get paid off of that, then great, because that's like a very one-time guaranteed outcome that you are paying for, that they're probably going to be more than willing to pay for once. But yeah, I think actually the ongoing versus one time is actually a really interesting distinction about performance based.
Yeah, it's fascinating especially because I see a lot around guarantees. Like guarantees are it's the term du jour right now as far as agencies or whatever, and it's complex because I don't think that either side is going to be very happy with that kind of work, in its truest form. Client is not going to be happy to part with part of their pie, a large part of it, significantly larger than they would have paid if they had just taken the work at face value instead. And the agencies might be up for it, but like I said, the most competent ones that are sure, because they're not going to make a stupid bet. They are going to make sure they get that they recoup 2, 3, 5x what they typically would on a project like that to make sure that it's worthwhile. So on the subject of guarantees and performance based, I don't think that it is as promising as it is in theory, like particularly in practice.
Yeah. I mean, just look at my Twitter DMs. I could pull them up right now, and there's like 20 Gen Z broccoli head looking dudes per day DMing me being like, if I could bring you 10 new clients per month and you don't pay until that happens, would you be interested in having a call together? I'm like, no, because I know that you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
There is last one, if you guys are up for it, that I thought of, which is bartering. I think this might be
is that a pricing model?
It is, because I've thought of this where the trade is something like, actually the person who I think of is my grandfather. So my grandfather, who told me about one of my favorite Mexican food places, Maritza's. and he lives right by there. He is a master plumber, and so when at some point they were telling him about some issues they were having at their house, and he went and did a quick fix. It was like an hour and a half worth of stuff, maybe 2 hours. And the homeowner and the restaurant owner asked him, "Oh, how much?" He said, "Let me tell you the next time I come in for Mexican food." So we went and picked up food for our family one day, and he said, "Is this fair trade?" And they're like, "Absolutely." And then he leaves this big, huge gaggle of Mexican food for us. So I do think that in very rare circumstances that there might be an alignment there. For example, I've always thought of be the dream to brand something like a taco shop or a sandwich place and get free tacos once a month for the rest of my life. That would be like one of
Awesome.
the ultimate hacks. But I think that you could do that with tech or software too, where maybe it's something like if it is a tool that we know we are going to use in perpetuity, if you were an enterprise level software brand that charged enterprise fees for a thing that you did and it was beneficial to an agency, maybe there's something there where there is a half off, but then an exchange in use for your tool, which I think is it seems archaic, but I think that it's not valuable.
Hmm.
Or I think that it is valuable despite its antiquity.
It's valuable, just inefficient.
Yeah.
It's definitely inefficient. I trade you 4 sheep for 6 ore. Is that fair? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just think of the last time you played Settlers of Catan.
Yeah. I will say that like we rebranded Southwest Airlines and get free flights for life would be awesome.
Exactly. See, so there's opportunities like that I think should be considered because I believe that there is just as much creativity in the way you price things as there is with the work itself. So never be afraid to ask like anybody who is looking to become a client of an agency. You might have something that's worth offering. And I'm putting this out there because if there is somebody who's like, I'm going to open up that taco shop, come see me. And if we can work out a deal and your tacos are worthwhile, I will be all over that.
Yeah. Fair warning to anyone listening. Zach drives a hard bargain. Okay. This guy ain't no pushover, right? Awesome. You guys, this is a great episode. Super interesting talking through the different models. Yeah, super fun. Loved that. And I think that's it. Any last final words before we say our goodbyes?
No, I'm good.
No. Say your
Covered
piece.
it all.
Good. Awesome. Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.